Gem family, thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We are still celebrating our growing numbers. The last time we were at 152, and I'm happy to report that we are at over 160. So thank you for jamming with the Richards. Thank you for liking, for commenting, and for subscribing. We're going to continue our conversation about our Canadian journey as immigrants from Jamaica. Today we want to share with you a little bit about our starting experience, the difficulties that we had establishing credit. So when you move to North America, we've only moved to North America and to Canada, so I can't speak for the other countries, but when we moved, this is a credit-driven society. And so for a while, I think over a year and a half or more, we didn't have credit. We had one cell phone when we just came that we shared, and that was because one friend was able to purchase it on our behalf.
Yeah.
1 year later was when I got my own cell phone, and it's also because another friend was able to purchase that on my behalf because I was moving to another city for internship and needed a phone. It took us some time to get credit. Simple credit would be like a credit card. You have to establish credit to be able to purchase anything. Like I said, a phone, maybe appliances, furniture, that sort of a thing, in a store. Andrew worked at a particular bank, and it didn't matter how many times we applied, we didn't get that credit. And I think Andrew can share more.
What I noticed working at the bank, person would come to open a bank account and then they would request like a credit card. We weren't able to give them a credit card at that particular bank because, as Tammy said, they had no credit history, so we were offering like prepaid credit cards. And I remember going to my boss at the time and I was saying to him, we're immigrants. I just wanted to know that not all immigrants are broke people. All those denials that these persons are getting, they're going to go to another bank and get the credit cards. Nothing much came of it, but I know for sure, like as soon as I tell a person, like a new immigrant coming in to open an account, they would say, oh, I'm going to leave this bank because this other bank is giving me a credit card, and sometimes even 2 credit cards, and then we'd lose customers for that.
And I can attest to that. Andrew worked at that bank for years, and did you have a credit card from that bank?
Yeah, I got a credit card eventually.
Your first credit card was not from that bank?
No, and I worked there, so my first credit card was from another bank.
So how I was able to get a credit card was to apply online, not at the bank that Andrew worked at, and it was very upsetting to me. I was saying, I'm a student now, and we are in the economic immigration process. I have to show proof of funds and all of that to settle in Canada. We just don't have a credit history in this country. And it was upsetting to me that they wouldn't give me credit. And now they're sending me all sorts of mail about what I'm approved for, some $25,000 line of credit and this, that credit card. And I tell you the truth, every time I get one piece of mail, I just rip it up and throw it in the bin. I'll never be a client of that particular bank. And I do all my banking at the bank that I bank at because
As a student.
yeah, they took a chance on me, helped me to establish my credit. And so when I'm working now, I'm very happy to tap into their services, and it's a win-win. Right now, I moved to a new job and moved my pension.
Yeah.
I moved that service to the bank that gave me credit then, and not because I had to move it, but because I felt safe and I felt that it was important to take a chance on them, just like they took a chance on me. As new immigrants, these are some hurdles that we have to jump to get settled in a new country. It's demoralizing. I felt so discouraged at the time when I'm just trying to establish credit and nobody would give me a chance. Like, I'm a PhD student, I'm working at a local college, and when I'm done my PhD, with my experience, nothing will hold me back. But this bank was short-sighted. I don't know what it's all because, like I said, Andrew was working there. I think we need to understand the difference between economic immigrants, those who have the ability to contribute to the economic base in this country. I've been paying tax from year one in this country because I've been working. And so the myth that international students have come to rob people of their resources. It's just that it's a myth. Economic immigrants come into this country with resources. We're working. We don't get the top jobs from day one though, so it takes us a little while longer. But once we've got there, we're economic immigrants and we're contributing to the economy. We have talent. We have a lot to offer.
It's just the bank and policies. There are like 5 top banks in Canada here, and that bank is one of the top 5. It's just their policy. And what happened is when you move to Canada as an immigrant, when you get a social insurance number, and what happened is when that number comes up on the system, if you're doing an application, it's temporary. So if it starts with a 7, if it doesn't start with a 9, that was my experience, then you won't get any credit. But I know for sure that that bank lost a lot of customers just because of that one policy that they had. Still did business with them because I was working there, so the interest rates were like low for mortgages and stuff. And I tried to get Tammy to come over with some of her other businesses, and she refused.
I'm just not going.
I can't blame her.
For me, honey, it's the principle of the matter. If I wasn't good for you then when I was a potential client, I'm not good for you when I'm a kinetic client. I'm only doing business with the bank that took a chance on me. They'll have all my business because they understood the value that we brought.
So honey, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So if you're gonna do only business with that bank, to me all the banks are the same. Some of the policies are kind of different because of their lending and mitigations and stuff, why they put in certain policies. But right now, because the market, it's interest rates for me. So if I'm getting a better interest rate at this bank and you're getting another interest rate there, then I'm gonna choose the one that's giving the best interest rate for a mortgage. But guess what? Because she's been established with that bank, we can always negotiate.
Yeah, I get benefits.
Because if I say, oh, this bank is giving me 4%, your bank is not gonna lose your business, so they're gonna say, okay,
exactly.
I can give you 3.5. It's just a game for them as well.
Yes, and I have a rich, long history with them. And trust me, babes, your bank, it has done nothing for me. I've tried to do business with them. I just don't find the customer service to be that grand either. And it could be that they don't meet my expectations.
Maybe.
Coming from that first experience that I've had. I've never walked into my bank and not got the benefit. Yeah, I know you're laughing, but it's true. I get discounts. I don't pay the full monthly fees because they value me. They valued me from I was a student with my little $900 a month scholarship going into my bank account.
Based on experience, I can tell you that all these top 5 banks, they're all the same. It's just recycling of customers.
As you talk about recycling of customers though, Andrew, I want to go back to how many clients that bank had, and I can liken it to our church family. When we just moved to Saskatchewan and started attending that church, there were a family and a half.
Yes.
Of Jamaicans.
Yes.
In that church. And by year 2,
yeah, we had
there were
6.
like 16, and I think it got to over 30. And if all of these people, not all of them were new immigrants, some came from different provinces, but if all of them walked into that bank and were denied credit, and all of those people are established now.
Yeah,
they all have their permanent residences.
Yeah,
so many are citizens and they're working, they're contributing to the economy. People like to think, common rhetoric now in the population is that immigrants, especially immigrants of a certain hue, are coming to drain the coffers of this country. And the fact is that even if we don't have credit, we're not lazy, we're working. Last time we talked about how Andrew started in 7-Eleven and worked his way up. I was a student 2.5 years after we got permanent residency status. Then I moved back into the educational leadership sector after a little under 3 years. So it doesn't take forever for us to settle if we have our brains screwed on and to contribute to this economy. The message I have for our economy sector is to move away from your biased notions and to think about the value, the potential client base that you have in economic immigrants. You have to do a study because there's a difference between international students who don't necessarily have much and they have to have something to be able to pay those differential tuition, and as well as those who are coming in on different immigration categories. We are contributing to the economy. We are not broke. It takes us a little while to settle, and once we settle, you're missing out on our business.
But honey, it doesn't matter how you come here. As long as you are landed and you pick up a job, you're contributing to the economy. As a matter of fact, not even if you don't even pick up a job, you're spending money. Because you come with your cash, you're spending it. You're contributing to the economy. So even if you come as a student, maybe not an economic immigrant, but as a student, you're still going to work part-time.
Yeah.
And you're contributing, you're being taxed just the same. And then within 2-3 years, you're working your job, you're getting your money, and you're contributing.
And sorry, did I cut you off?
Not really, but I'm just saying we're not time wasters.
No.
We're here on business, and we're contributing, and we're here to work. We're not lazy people. We're not a burden to the economy. We spoke about going to the food bank when we got here.
That's just a temporary service.
To fill a gap.
When the envelope comes around in church, there's a place for contributing to the food bank. That pull on my heart. We are contributing, and we are giving back. But babes, I don't think we told the people how we actually got to Canada, that we came to Canada. We told them that when we came to Canada, we had a just turned 3-year-old and a 1-year-old when we came. I came to do my PhD, and so I had a study permit. If you're working full-time on campus, that's okay, but full-time on campus, the rate is not any high rate. I don't even remember what the rate was at the time. And if you're working off campus, it could be no longer than 20 hours per week during school time, and then you could work full-time in the break. I didn't have much of an income because I'm studying, and the permit is restricted. I couldn't keep down a full-time job because I'm a student and you have to make sure that you're following the rules. On the other hand, Andrew had an open work permit.
It was restricted somewhat because I couldn't work in certain sectors.
And the other thing, when they see a certain social insurance number, they know that you're not a permanent resident or a citizen. Job opportunities are restricted, right? So it took us a little while because of those restrictions to be able to tap into full-time job market. Once we got permanent residency though, the door really opened up because we got permanent. I'm laughing because maybe we should tell the people that story. We got permanent residency at the last weekend in April, and I applied for a job in May. By June, I had interviews and I got that job just through the job market opening up because have a different sin. I don't know if it's related to the sin, but permanent residency opens up more opportunities for you than an open work permit or just being a student with the ability to work some hours.
But babes, before you even go there as well, you remember you coming here as an international student, the school fee was even more expensive than a person with a permanent resident.
It's 2.5 to 3 times more than a domestic student. So babes, you want to tell them that story?
Yeah, I want to tell you about that story. So when we realized that we got permanent resident status, you were supposed to go back to school, I think it was the Monday.
Yeah, we got the thing in the mail on the Friday.
So because you have to pay your school fee Monday morning, we got that mail and we decided that we're going to drive to the border.
Yeah.
Just to be landed so we can go back and tell them about the story, honey.
Oh, the border was what, 5 to 7 hours?
I think it was 8 hours or something.
I don't remember. Anywhere from 5 to 8 hours. It was quite a journey. I was determined that I wasn't going to pay differential tuition. But I was praying and waiting for the permanent residence status to come in. Because what had happened is that if we didn't get permanent resident status before August or somewhere around here, we'd have to reapply for everything. For temporary visas, for the study permit, for the open work permit. There are chances that open work permit might not have been renewed. But it costs money. And again, like I said, we are restricted. Have to find that differential tuition. We have babies in daycare. I think by then you were working full-time.
Yeah, I was working at the bank at the time, so it was full-time. But not paying
3 times
the amount was worth it to drive to the border.
Oh, babes, I mean, I'll tell you a story.
Okay, so go ahead, tell the story.
So I was determined that I'm not paying another cent of differential tuition that year. So I never made any moves to start any application process to renew anything, because somehow deep in my gut, I was determined that we were going to be permanent residents for the summer session, which started in May. So that Friday was a Friday, I remember I was thinking, so when is this thing going to come? Because we applied under express entry, we did the whole thing, and the time was going, and I was saying, boy, it's taking a long time, I don't know when it's going to come. And then something said to me, go to the mailbox. And when I went into that mailbox, I kid you not, when I opened it, I saw a package and I knew exactly what it was. So you want to hear me in the passage going back to our apartment? Praise the Lord! Hallelujah! Where there's life, there's a way. It's shouting in the passage, and then I just opened it. It was our passports, it was the paperwork, because you don't get your permanent residence card. It was your paperwork with instructions for landing and stuff like that. So that was the Friday. School was the Monday. You have to pay your fees by Monday to start classes. I think, Andrew, you were still working 3 jobs at the time.
I was still working.
Yes, Andrew was tired, and I said to Andrew, we have to go to the border after sunset on Saturday. We have to drive there, and so we're going to drive throughout the night. We're going to be landed, and we're going to come back Sunday, and then I'm going to bring my papers to the office, and I'm going to register and pay my, by now it looked cheap, right? My cheap tuition compared to the international student tuition. And we did it. At some stages it was so dark, the road was so dark, and it was a reminder to me of some of the dark times that we had. And they left the children in the car because poor things, they were sleeping. Somebody shone a flashlight in there, looked at them. We got landed. All we doing now was drive over to the States, did a U-turn, come back in, do the paperwork, and started back our journey to Saskatoon. When we were going to the border, it was so dark and it felt so heavy, and it was a reminder of the hardships that we were faced. You see, when we were coming back and you saw the sun cresting, it was an indication of a new beginning, and that was so symbolic for me.
The journey itself, the road was so desolate. You hardly see anything on the road, driving for like miles without passing another vehicle. Just imagine 2 young kids, Sammy and myself, driving to the border through the night, and our car breaking down on us.
At one time, we thought we were going to run out of gas. We had to do a detour into Regina to get gas that morning. The things that we go through, though.
But God was with us. I was tired. At times I felt like I wanted to sleep. But then when we were coming back, now we got life, and we just drove, and we slept for the rest of the day.
God has been with us. Surely we have to give him thanks for that. For 2 years, almost 3 years, I couldn't concentrate on my studies. There was something that I was carrying in the pit of my stomach. If I don't accomplish this, I can't move forward. I felt stuck.
I remember.
And a pen shipwrecked because I felt stuck. Every day you get up, you don't have status in this country. Yes, you're studying. Yes, people will argue that what do you expect? You are a student, you're not a Canadian. These are the risks we take to settle in a new country. And don't get me wrong, I can go back any day. So being here is a choice. And I think it's a choice for you too, Baze. We haven't abandoned our country.
No.
Just wanted a different way of life at the time. It was hard. We're beginning to see the sun again.
Yeah, the experiences, there were many who spoke about having that feeling in your stomach because you were so unsettled because you wanted us to be permanent residents so bad. I remember like going to work on a Sunday morning, a 6 o'clock shift, and coming back, and you're
6 o'clock. So which work was this? So you had a job at the bank?
Yeah, so that was like at the hotel. So
then you had a job at the hotel?
Yes,
as a busser?
As a busser, so I'd work, and then it's Sunday brunch, it's very busy. And and I remember like just coming home and you're just there, like you freeze.
Yeah, I couldn't do anything. Now that I look back, I realized that it was anxiety. I couldn't do anything until Andrew came back. I did my schoolwork though. Yeah, I did my schoolwork. I took care of the children.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't do anything. Andrew would come back and I would still be in my 90. You come back what, 1, 2 sometime 3 o'clock. Yeah, some things that we go through. Next question to answer for next time is, was it worth it? We want to give people the full picture. We don't want to paint it all glossy and glorious, but we also don't want to be a discouraging voice for people. We want to tell people just the plain truth about the journey so you can know what to expect and know what you're getting into.
But you know what, Tammy, I would like to say as well, you come here as a couple, there are going to be challenges. There are going to be challenges because sometimes during that time, I would probably be saying, oh, why are you still not, you're here, you're not doing anything? Not knowing that is anxiety or probably depression.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a couple, we have to feed off each other. We have to support each other. We have to know when someone is down to bring them up, because it can be daunting.
Yeah.
It can be very daunting, and two young kids crying, sometimes they're sick. Trust me.
They were so young, sometimes I couldn't study. One day I went to the library and the daycare called me to tell me they have fever, and when I take the picnic temperature. Anyway, God is good, and here we are today. I don't want to close this video without saying I really appreciate you, babes, because I remember you were doing 3 jobs, and I remember you didn't complain. Like, more time you were mopping the floor. I couldn't do more than I was doing, you know. I go to school, I take care of the children, I go work at one college, I faced racism or microaggression at that place. I just couldn't do more. It's so important if you're an immigrant couple that you face it together without judgment and you help each other.
You're welcome, honey. I can remember it was so much. I was studying for my mutual funds at the time. I kept failing the exams.
Too much.
Till that I just had to stop because I was just so tired. I couldn't study. I was doing 3 jobs, and as soon as things got better and I got the job, one shot, boom, I passed my exam. It's a lot.
What people fail to realize, though, especially when people come into this country as international students and they come with a family, and people like to say that they lack critical thinking or they're not doing well in school. Give them some time to settle, provide support. I like to tell people it's the same brain that I had to use for my PhD to think about how I'm going to care for the children, how I'm going to support my husband, how they're going to get to daycare, where we're going to live, what kind of furniture we're going to have, how am I going to stand in the Valley Village so that they can have winter wear, how am I going to participate in church. It's one brain, and that brain can be so taxed. And then not only that, it's one brain, and it's the adjustment of winter coming from a Caribbean country.
As new immigrants coming here, always try to find your community.
We call it a cultural enclave.
Yes, someone you can identify with, just someone, if it's even to talk to, because coming from the same culture and coming here, they can probably identify with some of the things we're going through.
Yeah.
No man is an island.
Yeah, don't stay by yourself. And we're not talking about segregation or preventing integration. We're talking about when you're new, having a cultural enclave, a safe place to tap into your culture and be who you are is important. Once you've formed those bonds and those relationships, then you can begin to create new relationships outside of your cultural enclave. We wouldn't encourage people to just stick to themselves too, because this is a global world, and you can't survive if you're just sticking to your own. You have to learn,
integrate
the environment as well. You're not losing who you are or your culture, but you're learning, and you're not assimilating either. You're integrating. You have to adjust, adapt, and learn.
Yes.
So thank you so much for having jammed with us as we continue to share our experience as immigrants to Canada.
Please remember
to like,
comment,
share,
and subscribe.
Hit that subscribe button. We want to grow this community. We have so much that we want to talk to you about. We have a rich experience that we can share with you. So if you're interested in this content, continue to jam with us on Jamming with the Richards.
Bye.
Take care now.